Hello and welcome, everyone. Very excited to see all of you here, especially knowing that the holidays are coming, that there was a difference between 2 a.m. and 2 p.m. and all the rest of it. So thanks for investing your time in this. Very much looking forward to the conversation. Many of you did submit questions ahead of time, so I think we're going to do a great job of addressing those as we go. And of course, another thing we want to do is make sure that you are getting everything you want out of it. So if you have additional questions, want to know more, type them into that question panel, or if you like, raise your hand and we'll unmute you individually. Typically, as is the case now, I get asked, hey, are we going to have access to this afterwards? And the answer is yes. We will post a recording of today's conversation on YouTube so that you can come back and check it out again. All right, let's dive into what we have for today's conversation. A quick 30 minutes, and what we are going to do is define the roles. So we will talk roles for HR, human resource professionals, trainers, managers, and then coaches. We will move from there into defining the responsibilities. And of course, there's overlap. And I think what's great about it, some of you were asking, gee, how do I language this? How do I explain these differences to people and separate these things? So hearing it a little bit differently, first in terms of roles and then in terms of responsibilities, is going to help in terms of how you express that and say that. Then we're going to talk about the impact of each of these roles because they're all essential, important roles. We will talk about the separation between the roles, and then we'll talk about combining roles. Of course, we want to explore blending coaching with the other roles. And then in just a minute or two at the end, we'll list resources and, of course, additional question and answer time. So jumping into the role of HR. Specifically, here's a way to define it, and I'm happy to get your input and your comments on this. Tell me whether or not you think this is accurate. Human resource professionals essentially are there to strategically manage people as business resources. That comes through in a number of areas. One is dealing with employee safety, dealing with legal compliance measures, recruiting and hiring employees. They coordinate compensation and benefits, and they suggest training and development strategies. And that's your hint, if you will, over to a training professional and coaching as well. So that is a quick snapshot. Again, happy to have your input on that. And while you're thinking about that, here is SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, their competency model graphic. And looking at that, you can see they look at communication, relationship management, ethical practice, HR expertise, business acumen, critical evaluation, global and cultural effectiveness, leadership and navigation, and consultation. So gives you a great snapshot. And of course, yes, good point, comment in there. Human resources is such a huge field, and there are so many different specialties within it, as well as human resource generalists. So we're getting very big picture here. Now, in terms of a trainer, how do we define that? Basically, a trainer is there to assess the needs or objectives and then design and deliver content that is then followed by evaluating the results. If you look at the competency models for trainers from the Association for Talent Development, they include knowledge management, change management, performance improvement, instructional design, training delivery, learning technologies, evaluating learning impact, managing learning programs, integrated talent management, and then coaching. So Coaching is a sub-competency for human resource professionals, and it's a core competency for training professionals. Foundational competencies that work hand in hand with this include business skills, global mindset, industry knowledge, interpersonal skills, personal skills, and technology literacy. So all essential components. Now, in terms of a manager, of course, it's pretty tough to get a graphic on core competencies for a manager because it is so completely across the board, often very specific to different professions. So again, I invite your input in that question box. Type in what you think. Here's what I've got for you. Very generally speaking, the role of the manager is supervising employees and ensuring they're productive. So in part, that includes setting objectives, organizing tasks, motivating people, communicating information up and down the chain of command, improving processes and quality in terms of what everyone's doing. Ideally, you want managers who are focused on developing their people. All right, how's that different from a coach? So I'm guessing you've all seen the definition from the International Coach Federation. I'm pulling this right out of their information. Coaching is partnering. Okay, so here's a huge difference. That word in and of itself, coaching is completely different from the other roles because we partner with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. So instead of the responsibility being with, for example, the HR professional, the trainer, or the manager to maximize what the individual is achieving, the coach is empowering the individual to maximize it for themselves. And you'll note this also does include that personal potential. So it's bigger than our workplace activities. Now, the International Coach Federation defines 11 core competencies. So I simply put them on this wheel to give you a picture of that. Ethics, having our code of ethics, being accountable to it. Establishing the coaching agreement, which includes both the conversation part of it, hey, what is this, how does it work, and the written agreement. Establishing trust and intimacy with your client. Number one indicator of success in coaching is the rapport between the coach and the client. And it's essential that they trust you and that you have those intimate conversations. Coaching presence, where you are truly there and in the moment. I love the term they use, dancing in the moment with your client, completely focused on them and what it is for them. The listening skills, listening with everything you got, totally focused on them. Powerful questioning. Our clear, direct language, the communication piece, how we say it, being respectful with that. Creating awareness, literally challenging the client to dig and think and expand. Designing actions, and in that process, it's really empowering the client to figure out their own action steps, partnering with them as they plan and set their goals, and then serving as their accountability partner. An accountability partner is both the checking in on progress, making sure it's being acknowledged, and then also checking in on the follow through with the action steps. So when they acknowledge themselves, it supports their motivation and keeps it going, and then follow through on the action steps keeps them on track. Okay, so now let's go back through each of these roles and expand on what we have in terms of the role itself with how that comes out in the responsibilities. So of course, you're going to hear some overlap here. Again, it's a chance to play with how you explain these differences. Very, very much welcome your comments. I know some of you on the call are professionals with backgrounds in HR and training and management, so really want to hear your thoughts as I go through this. Big picture explanations. So HR professionals ensure compliance, both on the part of the employee and in terms of the organization itself. They recruit, interview, negotiate, hire, and onboard people. They prepare, update, and maintain employment records. They explain policies and procedures, laws, and standards. HR professionals document grievances, terminations, absences, performance, compensation, and benefits. They support doing evaluations and that evaluation process. They develop employees, and they're involved in succession planning. So give me notes. Do you think that is accurately capturing that and giving you an effective synopsis? All right. As a trainer, what are the responsibilities there? Trainers assess training requirements. Hey, what is it going to take in this organization? They design specific training processes and content. They schedule and promote training opportunities. They deliver training programs, and they got to manage the budget for that, plus evaluate the results. Hey, is this working? Are we getting what we want out of it? Now, what does a manager do? Well, big part of management is budgeting and budget management. Another component of it is, check this out, ensuring employees are properly trained. So very important part of it, and again, an overlap. Let's see, and we got a comment in, some HR professionals also have a role in developing the strategic plan for the organization. Yes, good call, Kimberly, thank you for that. Okay, next one. The manager is also going to be involved in identifying candidates for promotion and in evaluating their people. They provide support to maximize performance. They communicate objectives, processes, and changes, and they're there to motivate people to fully engage and be productive. Now, what are the responsibilities of the coach? And for those of you who have completed your coach training, there's going to be a lot of familiarity here. It's directly tied to our competencies. So first off, being a coach means having 3 things in place before you even start coaching. Number 1 is your own training as a coach. Number 2 is your code of ethics and sharing that with your client. And then number 3 is that agreement. These happen before you start your coaching. Then, as you move into that coaching relationship, you're co-creating the coaching relationship. And as a coach, that involves being fully present and establishing trust. From there, you listen completely. We talk about actively listening and rephrasing. You also are listening cumulatively, hearing things over time. What did they say last session that is pertinent right now? Or what did they say earlier that's related to what they're saying right now? Using the clear, direct, respectful language in how you communicate with your clients. Asking powerful questions. As you know, coaching questions are completely different than other types of questions. Now, the responsibilities of the coach also include creating awareness, and we do that by challenging and expanding thinking. It means empowering clients so that they design their own action steps. We empower the planning and goal setting process and serve as an accountability partner for acknowledging progress and successes and for ensuring that follow through. So, responsibilities. What specifically does that mean in terms of coaching? Here's an overarching. If you're a member of the ICF, which is really become a gold standard in terms of, hey, if you're calling yourself a coach, at a minimum to be a member of the ICF is becoming essential. And it does mean that you agree to practice the 11 core competencies and be accountable to the code of ethics. Very essential in terms of offering those services. Okay. Now let's talk impact, and we're going to bring all the roles up here at the same time to start having that visual comparison. So an HR professional supports organizations by maximizing a key resource, and that is the people. A trainer improves workplace productivity by increasing knowledge or skills. And everyone, I'm going to give you two more here, and I'm going to ask you for your comments or observations on the impact on what this says. So managers ensure the work advances company objectives by supporting their employees, and a coach empowers individuals to discover and maximize their personal and professional potential. So thoughts or comments, raise your hand, put them into the question panel. What is this bringing up for you as you look at the impact of the different roles? I've got a lot of you there, and I'm getting a lot of quiet. So I'm hoping you're furiously typing, and they're going to start popping up in a minute. And again, if you want to raise your hand and come in live, feel free to do that. Okay. So what's the separation between these different roles? Well, HR, all the information is obtained for and owned by the organization. That is significantly different from coaching. And if you coach internally, where you do both HR and coaching, it's going to be essential you establish your policies for separating this. A trainer, all of the work is focused on organization objectives, and the trainer is responsible to and reporting to the organization. A manager has a primary responsibility of meeting organization objectives. So if you're looking at these first three, it's truly all about the organization. And where it's different is that the coach is focused completely on the individual client and empowering them. So if you go back to our code of ethics in coaching, it separates the client from the organization. You see, the organization may be paying for the coaching that does occur, and ultimately the client is the individual who is being coached. And so there's a huge separation in this regard. All right, how do you combine the various pieces here? Well, HR is an effective skill set when coaching is an effective skill set when you're working in HR. Think about it. The people and the communication skills, the relationship, etc. If you read HR competencies, you'll see a lot of overlap with what we do in coaching. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier in the SHRM model, Society for Human Resource Management, coaching is a sub-competency for HR professionals. So it definitely is a skill set that's used in the HR role, and it is increasingly common for HR professionals to also have responsibilities in the area of coaching. For trainers, coaching is a core competency. The ATD model we had up earlier showed it right there. It's a core competency for trainers. And coaching skills in a training environment enhance that training. So think about it. When a training program is happening, the more the coach is engaging the individuals, asking them questions, challenging them to think it through and figure it out, the more they're getting out of that training. In addition to that, Personnel Management Association looked at it and said, when you do training alone, you get a 22% improvement in productivity. When you combine training with coaching, you get an 88% improvement in productivity. So it's huge. So training is providing that information, And coaching is the follow-up and saying, okay, how are you using that information and ensuring the follow through? As a manager, coaching is a leadership skill. Think about it. When you think about who a leader is, it's all the competence we talk about in coaching. Are they ethical? Is there an agreement in terms of how they're working together? Are they establishing trust? Are they present to what's going on? And then think about the communication. As a manager, got the skill sets for really listening, for being clear and direct, for asking powerful questions. Is a manager going to create awareness with people, empower them to define their action steps, how they're getting the work done? And then, of course, the accountability piece. So yeah, coaching is a leadership skill for managers. And then the coach themselves, very often coaches work with individuals in the HR trainer or management role as their coach, supporting them, partnering with them, empowering them to develop their own personal and professional potential. And oftentimes, coaches collaborate with professionals in these fields to work with others in the organization. So there's a tremendous amount of overlap in both directions. Ultimately, it's essential that whatever role you're in at any point in time, you identify that role and ensure the separation. So, for example, an HR professional, this is a big challenge because when it's an HR conversation, your responsibility is to the organization, and all that information is owned by the organization. When you're in a coaching role, your responsibility is to the individual and the information is owned by the individual. That's completely different. So making sure you're really clear which role is in play right now and how are you making sure that separation is happening. And so very, very important. Now, think also about the blending of the roles. So how does coaching blend with some of these other roles? Well, think about the 11 core competencies of a coach, and all of those together equal coaching. And we're going to then call coaching a skill. So that skill involves all of the competencies. And coaching skill enhances the efforts in all of the other roles. So let's go back through it. As a coach, you follow a code of ethics, you establish the agreement for the relationship, establish trust and intimacy, you're present, listening actively, asking powerful questions, communicating clearly and directly, creating awareness, empower the designing of the actions, and you partner for planning and goal setting, then serve as the accountability partner, acknowledging progress and success, and in terms of follow through. So what does this mean? Coaching is a skill that adds value in all human interactions. So yes, of course, we're talking specifically in terms of the workplace. Well, go bigger than that, everyone. Think about it. When you communicate with family and friends, coaching skills make a difference. When you communicate with people in your neighborhood or in other community organizations you're part of, coaching skills make a difference. In the workplace, it's essential. Imagine the workplace with everybody using coaching skills. What an incredible difference. It's going to totally change the culture in an organization when everybody there is involved in learning coaching and coaching skills. It has value in all interactions. All right. We've got just a couple of minutes left. I'm going to run through some resources, and I'm hoping you're going to give more questions here or additional comments, observations, or insights. So be ready to jump in either live or be typing in your question panel. In terms of resources, so of course the International Coach Federation, the Center for Coaching Certification, and the Center for Coaching Solutions. So the Coach Federation is the gold standard in coaching. This is where the 11 core competencies come from, the code of ethics, and ultimately membership in the Coach Federation is the base minimum in terms of being out there as a professional coach. The Center for Coaching Certification with training opportunities at all different levels. So the training to become a member of the International Coach Federation includes the Certified Professional Coach Program and the Certified Master Coach, because the International Coach Federation requires 60 hours. So it takes both classes to complete those hours. And then for people pursuing an additional credential, there is both mentor coaching and more advanced training so that you complete the requirements for those credentials. The Center for Coaching Solutions is there in terms of providing coaches, providing support for coaching programs, whether that's helping an organization start and run a coaching program or bringing in the training for that coaching program. Resources that are available to all of you, quick access, easy to take advantage of. So the blog at centerforcoachingcertification.com. The book series, and we're super close to publishing book number 6, so here are the first 5. We do these free webinars every month, and by the way, we are working on next year's schedule, so if you want to be developing a webinar for next year, let me know. I'm available, and I know our whole team is. If you want to call or email with a quick question, we're happy to be of service. And in terms of outsourcing, help with the coaching programs, training, or providing coaches. So next steps for you. First off, as we do when we have these, I do want to offer each of you that free 30 minutes. It's an opportunity for you to say, hey, I want a mini coaching, or hey, I want to talk some more, ask some more questions, explore something, etc. So that's available to you. Choose what resources you're using, how you're using them, plan your process specifically, implement your strategies, and that moves you toward achieving the results you want. So thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. I appreciate your time, your interest in this information, and very, very happy to take additional questions and get additional comments or observations. And by the way, I am seeing the thank yous in there, so thank you as well. I definitely appreciate that. And if you want to either type a question in the question panel, you're welcome to do that. If you want to raise your hand, I'm happy to unmute you. Just click on that icon for the hand. In terms of, let's see, we're getting lots of thanks. Yes, happy holidays to all of you too. Thank you for that. Glad this was helpful. So good to get that input in there. And I'm hoping you got the information you want. I'm not seeing any additional questions, so it seems like we've done a great job of covering that. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy both your weekend and your holiday season, and we'll look forward to staying connected in the future. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.